The following is a mechanically reproduced announcement, previously recorded from a live scheduled program on 24.7 The Stream. This is not a live broadcast. All guests, callers, and hosts granted 24.7 The Stream permission to be recorded. This program may contain strong language or topics not suited for younger listeners. Parental discretion is advised. Thank you for listening to 24.7 The Stream.
And welcome to the Geek Squad. We are back. It is our second week of the show. We're really excited about this whole Geek Squad thing. We have so many different topics to talk about.
There's so much.
I mean, we have so much to talk about for every topic as well. So, you know, let's get into it.
I think today's topic is going to be comics. And comic books.
Yeah, and comic book movies. I mean, you know, where do you start? I mean, let's start with Superman. I mean, he's like the original classic comic book character.
He's the best ever, right? He's Superman.
Yeah, I mean,
better than Superman?
Who's better than Superman? I mean, a lot of people argue Batman, but
is it Batman?
But I mean, Batman doesn't really have superpowers. I mean, let's be realistic. Superman is an alien. You know what I mean?
And he's Superman. Nothing can kill him.
Right.
And he can faster than a speeding bullet and shoots lasers. And the only thing that kills him is kryptonite, which you really can't get because his home planet got destroyed.
Right.
And like only one person's got it, and that's Lex Luthor.
Right. Yeah, I mean,
is Batman working with Lex Luthor in this new one?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I don't know how I feel about this new movie. I'm a fan of both characters, but I don't know. You know, the guy playing Lex Luthor, his name's not coming to me right now, but he was in The Social Network.
Was he really?
Yeah, he's Lex Luthor, and I think that's a poor casting decision.
Who do you think should have been Lex Luthor?
I don't know. That's a really good question. I'd have to think about that.
Should it have been Leo?
Leo?
Yeah, he won an Oscar now.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I like the idea of picking somebody younger, but, you know, they picked a geek, basically, to play Lex Luthor. You need somebody kind of badass.
I'm just going to look this guy up.
I don't know. I don't think that he is a good Lex Luthor. I'm looking his name up now.
Would you like to see an actual Lex Luthor movie?
Jesse Eisenberg. I would be down with that because I'm down with the villains. You know what I mean? A story is only, you know, as good as its villain. So,
like, we always know the hero is going to prevail,
right?
But we never really get to hear the villain side. Like how they got to where they are.
I mean, we were talking about that last week, I think, with Star Wars.
Like to see a Sith movie.
Yeah, that would be so badass. I mean, who doesn't want to see that? Seriously.
And that would work perfect with, I mean, even Marvel and DC.
Yeah.
Because the villains in there are just as epic as the heroes.
Right.
Like we have the Joker. I mean, even they got the Suicide Squad coming out soon.
Yeah, that looks interesting. I'm curious to see how they do the Joker, because the Joker is one of my favorite villains, if not my favorite. What about you? Who's your favorite villain?
Who's my favorite villain?
Yeah.
Oh. I'd like to see Riddler because he's kind of like the unsung. How come I would like to see a Riddler video in the next, like, in the Dark Knight.
That'd be cool. You know, you could argue the Riddler is the most intelligent villain.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because he's so crafty.
He's the Riddler.
Yeah.
You got to break the Pandora's box. The Joker's just out in your face about it. And that's why he's like the Joker.
Yeah.
Just because he's just so out in your face, and it's just a joke.
Well,
The Riddler, he's a Riddler.
You bring up an interesting point by bringing up the Riddler because of Batman. And if you think about it, Superman and Batman are really the two staple superheroes that we have, especially for movies. There's the whole Superman series. There's been now 2 series for Batman.
Oh, really?
Yeah, well, you have the Tim Burton movies, and then
Joel
Joel Schumacher movies, and then you have the Christopher Nolan reboots, which are just amazing.
I never saw the third one. I never saw the Bane one.
Oh, really? That's my favorite one of the new series. I highly recommend it. If anything, just watch the beginning because it's awesome. I'll leave it at that. No spoilers here.
Is that the scene that like the stadium gets blown up?
Yeah, it's awesome.
I've seen that scene.
Yeah, it's awesome. There's actually a really good spoof. I'll have to show you that. It's fantastic. But regardless, back to Batman. The original Batman movie is probably one of my favorites. I mean, Jack Nicholson as the Joker. Come on.
Yeah.
I mean, that's perfect.
Arnold Schwarzenegger as no. This isn't Arnold Schwarzenegger, right? As Iceman.
Oh yeah, no. That's when the movie started getting bad. That was Batman and Robin, I believe, right?
Is that with George Clooney?
Oh God.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that's just not good. And then, well, Batman Forever, and that had the Riddler in it. Jim Carrey, which was actually a great casting decision. The movie sucks, though. Let's be honest.
True. I don't know which one you're talking about. I'm not a big Batman fan.
Well, no, really. Well,
what about the Batman TV shows with Adam West?
I used to watch those as a kid, and now I watch them, and it's kind of a joke to me. I have fond memories of it as a kid, but now it's kind of a joke. I mean, you watch any of the new Batman movies and you see how dark the character is, and how, when you watch that original series, it's very lighthearted and
pow, bam,
yeah,
bam, bam. Pulling up 1950 style.
Yeah.
Hey, what's going on, Batman?
I mean, it's very hard to take seriously. But
what do you think about the comic books versus the movies itself?
The comic books versus are you referring to everything or a character in particular?
See, I've never read comics.
Okay.
So, I understand the difference between Marvel and DC Universe.
Yeah.
And in that, like, it would be exact same as, like, Star Wars canon versus non-canon.
Right.
All I've really known is the movies.
Yeah. No, I mean, and that's cool because, one of the interesting things about comics is that the way that they're written is kind of the way that they come up with ideas for a movie. They have, it's like a comic. They have lines written out, and then they have an image that they'll use for the scene. And so if you think about it, a lot of good movies actually have a comic book feel to them. And I think that's kind of interesting. And, it's interesting, too. I think that there's some really good comic book movies and some of the worst movies ever based on comic books. I mean,
Daredevil?
Daredevil is one of my most hated, without a doubt. There's an Elektra movie, which is, I would never see that. And, it's irritating to me that they've never made a good Fantastic Four movie. There's now been 4 Fantastic Four movies.
Hasn't Hellboy a comic book movie?
Yeah. Hellboy is a comic book movie, and Hellboy 2. And they're both pretty good.
I would say the first one, I've never seen 2, but I've seen the first one, God, I don't even know how many times. It's always on television.
I would recommend the second one if you like the first one because it's better.
Yeah?
Yeah. There's Guillermo del Toro he's a really awesome director. That man has a vision for things. And, his vision of Hellboy is really cool because, I've read the comic and the artwork is very abstract looking. And his visual take on it is absolutely gorgeous. I mean, some of the villains that he has in the second one are just, it's so cool looking.
What do you think about the old Tobey Maguire Spider-Mans?
Oh God, you know what? I saw the first one in the theater and I kind of liked it, and now I watch it and I'm not a big fan. The second one I hated. I never liked it. The third one is kind of like Episode 3 of Star Wars.
Really?
Yeah, in my opinion, because it has good aspects. Like it has Venom, who's amazing as a villain, really cool villain. But he's barely in the movie. And
Dr. Octopus, you see him like all the time.
Yeah, I know. And I didn't like the casting decision for Dr. Octopus. I believe it was. Let's see.
I can see his face, but I can't remember.
Alfred Molina, I think is his name. And, one of the things I liked about the first one, too, is that Willem Dafoe is the Green Goblin, and that's an awesome casting choice. And I liked the way the movie ended. I hated the way Spider-Man 2 ended. That movie to me is a joke. But, Spider-Man, I don't know. I was having a conversation about Spider-Man the other day. Peter Parker's kind of a bitch. I mean, he's constantly complaining about girls. He's a teenager. I've read Spider-Man, and I find most of the time if he's not fighting somebody, it's like I don't care. But
you know what I'm actually scrolling through right now?
What?
I typed in comic book movies in Google, and a bunch of just all like the screen art. You know what I'm talking about? The
I was
trailer
looking at
pictures.
that.
Like it says movies. Do you see the one where it says Deadpool? Like just type comic book movies, and there's Deadpool.
Okay.
And Avengers and X-Men. Dude, what do we think about this new X-Men coming out?
I'm pretty excited about
I liked
that.
the old ones. I liked those old ones with Patrick Stewart.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Hugh Jackman?
Yeah, those are great.
There's a new X-Men coming out too?
Well, yeah, I mean, and X-Men Days of Future Past is pretty awesome because it has both. It has the new guys from First Class, and it has the old guys from X-Men 2, Last Stand. And then the new one coming out has Apocalypse as the villain, who's, I mean, did you ever watch the cartoon series
Of Apocalypse?
No, X-Men. Growing up as a kid.
Oh, is that Wolverine? Like is yellow, like got the horns?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was.
I love those.
It was on Fox, I think, when we were growing up on Saturday mornings, and that was great. And that's when I got introduced to Apocalypse, and he's a really cool villain. He looks really cool. I really hope they pull the movie off because, he deserves a good movie. I like all of the X-Men movies, though. I think they did a great job with those.
What would you think were the biggest booms and the busts in comic book movies?
Well,
I would say let's go booms first.
Booms first. Well, the Spider-Man movies were really successful, actually.
Did you know Sony owns the rights to Spider-Man movies and Spider-Man?
Really?
Yeah.
That's you know what? I don't. Whatever. I mean, Spider-Man. He's probably one of my least favorite superheroes.
He's always just good all the time. But I've seen a lot of controversy that Spider-Man is kind of like a shitty superhero because it kind of just happened to him.
Yeah.
The rest of them were like, this is like, we're superheroes now.
Right.
Spider-Man's just like, I'm just being a bitch guy. Can't even get this girl to like me. Turns around, becomes Spider-Man, but still can't even get the girl to like him.
Yeah, I mean, and this is why I don't like Spider-Man. But, I mean, going back to what we were talking about, we're talking about booms here. Deadpool, it passed $600 million worldwide with an R rating. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, haven't all comic book movies been PG-13?
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, I'm reading here that Deadpool has a very good chance of beating The Matrix Reloaded.
Really?
Yeah. another comic book series.
The Matrix is a comic book series?
Well, the first one is based on a comic, and then the second two suck because they're written by the Wachowskis.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I mean, what did you think? I mean, obviously the first Matrix is great. I'm sure.
Of course.
You know, you got to like the first Matrix. But, you know, I thought the sequels were really disappointing. I think they could have been way better. Yeah, the Matrix is like a really obscure comic.
Not many people actually know it's a comic.
Yeah.
I didn't even know.
Yeah. That's a good example of, you know, a comic book movie that you wouldn't think is necessarily a comic book movie, but is really good. I mean, I have a few favorites, like, you know, Blade is another comic book movie.
Yeah, I knew that.
The Crow.
I've never seen The Crow.
Oh, the first one is great. It has Bruce Lee's son is the main character. You know, it's kind of worth seeing. You know, it's unfortunate he died actually making the movie.
Oh, really?
There was an accident. I believe he was shot.
Who was shot?
Bruce Lee's son. He's the main character. I'm going to his name right now. Brandon Lee.
Mm-hmm.
Brandon Lee.
Oh, yeah, Bruce Lee. Brandon Lee.
Brandon Lee is Bruce Lee's son, and he was killed during making the movie, but it's a really good movie. They made a couple sequels. After I heard the second one, I was out. But, yeah, The Crow is another good one that people, you know, that's often forgot that's a comic book movie.
This new Avengers coming out looks good.
Yeah, and you know,
third one.
I haven't seen Age of Ultron yet.
Really?
No.
It was good. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I believe that's one of the only comic book movies I haven't seen that's a big deal, so to speak. And Ultron, yeah. But I like the first Avengers, so I'm excited about that. I'm a big fan of all the characters. Do you have a favorite Avenger by any chance?
Ooh. Like I'm cool with Thor.
Yeah.
And I'd say the Hulk.
The Hulk? Yeah. I would say of my favorite characters, Thor is probably number one. And then, you know, the Hulk is interesting because they've had there's like two Hulks. There's the Hulk before Marvel bought the rights back.
And there's Lou Ferrigno Hulk.
Yeah, and Lou Ferrigno, the Incredible Hulk
TV series.
Yeah, exactly. And then, so Hulk was in 2003, and then The Incredible Hulk in 2008, which is fantastic. I love that movie. I thought that Ed Norton was a really awesome choice. They got a very high caliber actor. And then, you know, the Hulk in 2003 wasn't as bad as I remember people making it out to be, but it's been a while since I've seen it. And it's definitely not as good as The Incredible Hulk.
Is this Avengers crew, like all the people, like talking about Thor, Captain America, Iron Man, is that Nighthawk? I don't even know that guy's name. That's like the least known Avenger that I know.
Yeah.
It's because he really, like, when he branches out, he doesn't stand alone.
Yeah.
What's his name?
I'm trying to think. It's not Hawkman.
It's the bow and arrow guy.
Yeah, the bow and arrow guy. Shit, what's his name? I'm drawing a blank.
If they would have came out with an Avengers with just the four, I would be okay with that.
Yeah, I agree.
What do you think this Ant-Man? This Ant-Man was pretty good.
Oh, yeah, you know, good. I'm glad you brought that up because that is a really good comic book movie that is kind of different from the other ones. You know, it's very...
I thought it was going to flop.
I didn't think it was going to flop, but I didn't think it was going to be as funny as it was. And I thought, you know, I loved the casting in that movie. I thought that Paul Rudd was a great choice, and then you know, Michael Pena is hilarious in that movie, and the end is like really cool and psychedelic, and yeah, I really liked Ant-Man. I never read that comic.
Neither. I didn't even know there was a comic Ant-Man until the movie.
Yep.
And then I was like, oh, it's another Marvel.
Yeah.
I thought Ant-Man. I'm like, who even knows Ant-Man? So is Marvel done and like DC's now coming up?
Yeah, I mean,
all the new movies are DC now. So
yeah, Marvel is not necessarily done. I mean, if you look at the list of their movies coming out, they have big plans, and I don't think that they're gonna let.
I'm just waiting for a Justice League.
Yeah, that would be really cool. I was more a fan
of the Justice League than I was Marvel.
Yeah,
I mean the Avengers. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I kind of agree with you on that.
I thought a couple of the Green Lantern movies were kind of flops.
The Green Lantern movies?
Yeah, with Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, that
could have been better.
That could have been way cooler. There's no question. Yeah, I'm trying to look up.
They're doing a new Flash, or not new, but they're doing Flash.
They're doing a Flash movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm looking at the list right now, and I mean, Marvel has got big plans. There's the new Guardians of the Galaxy. They don't own Spider-Man anymore.
I think they do Aquaman.
Yep, they're doing that. That's in July 2018.
Wow.
Captain Marvel is out after that. Then before Aquaman, there's Ant-Man, Avengers, and The Flash.
Ooh. They're doing an Ant-Man 2.
Yeah, and the Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Like, if we're going to talk about comic book movies in general, and even almost movies in general, do they just keep remaking? Like, they always come out with trilogies? Can there ever just be some good standalones that are, like, worth it?
Yeah, I agree.
Instead of dragging that thing out for years?
Right. Yeah, just like one movie.
Like the Fantastic Four, the old ones?
Yeah, exactly. And I think that the Fantastic Four could make a good movie out of that. I don't know why they haven't. I haven't seen the new one, the one that was released last summer, but I heard it was a flop. I thought it was funny. I heard that Stan Lee, it's one of the only Marvel movies Stan Lee is not in.
Really?
Yeah, and the movie ended up being kind of a flop, which I thought was interesting. It won 3 Golden Raspberry Awards for Worst Director, Worst Prequel, or Worst Picture.
Wow.
Yeah. Not good. Not good at all. And, that's too bad. It really is. There's been some other flops, too. Let's talk about some busts. Besides the Fantastic Four, the Ghost Rider movies.
Yeah, with Nicolas Cage. How many were there? Were there only 2?
There were only 2. Ghost Rider and Ghost Rider Spirit of Vengeance, which I don't even know if I saw that. It's just, having Nicolas Cage. Did you know that there was...
Isn't Nicolas Cage Francis Ford Coppola's son?
Is he really? I think he's related to him.
I think that's his son. Or they're related. They're father son.
That's crazy.
Yeah. It kind of sucks that he hasn't done great like his father. Everybody knows The Godfather.
Yeah.
Those are ultra classics, but where's the ultra classic Nicolas Cage?
Yeah, I mean, ultra classic Nicolas Cage is, I think, long gone. Did you know that he was supposed to be in a Superman movie?
Really?
Yeah, there's a whole documentary about it. I'm not sure what it's called. I was just told about it the other day, actually. I'm kind of interested to see it. But, Kevin Smith wrote the screenplay, and I believe Tim Burton was set to direct it. And Nicolas Cage was supposed to be Superman. I mean, can you imagine? That would be really odd. What an odd choice to play Superman.
Isn't Deadpool, even with the Justice League? Not in the Justice League, but he's the villain. I'd like to see a Legion of Doom.
A Legion of Doom,
yeah. Wasn't that the Legion of Doom?
Yeah.
It's all of the evil characters.
Yeah.
with, instead of having like a Justice League or Avengers,
Yeah.
why don't we have like little groups of Legion of Doom?
Legion of Doom. That'd be cool.
Lex Luthor, the Joker.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that'd be cool.
Deadpool.
Yeah, I keep.
Isn't that Catwoman?
Yeah, Catwoman. I kind of keep forgetting Deadpool is a villain. I never read the Deadpool comics.
Neither have I.
Cool character. I mean, I have nothing against him whatsoever. I'm keen to see the new movie. I've heard great things. It's been recommended to me several times now. Yeah, but I always forget he's a villain, and I love the villains. And then you have some characters that are like kind of like anti-heroes. Like Blade he's a vampire, but he's a good guy. The Blade series I thought was awesome. Actually, we mentioned Guillermo del Toro. He made Blade 2, which is really gory and awesome.
I liked all the vampire killing. That was kind of cool.
Yeah, I agree.
Blade.
Yeah.
Wesley Snipes.
Yeah. I heard that he let the character get to his head, which is pretty hilarious.
I bet.
Yeah, and then I like those dark movies. I like it when they do a good job. Constantine, did you ever see that one?
Yeah, that's a comic book movie.
Yeah, and
What?
I did read that comic book. Great character, John Constantine. Another kind of like anti-hero, not it's hard to call him like a good guy because he's got his own problems. It's kind of cool to have a smoker for a main comic book character, a heavy smoker. That's another good one. From Hell, that's another comic book movie. I like that movie a lot. Really cool take on Jack the Ripper murders. I never read that comic, but I love Alan Moore. He wrote The Watchmen.
Oh, really?
Yeah, have you seen that movie?
No, I've actually really wanted to. It looks kind of crazy.
It's kind of crazy. You're not a comic book reader, which is...
Would they be Marvel or DC? Or are they their own?
I think that they were their own. I mean...
under another company name?
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I don't think that they were DC. No, they were actually DC Comics.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a pretty good movie. There's a couple scenes I don't like, and they changed a few things, but there's some really cool parts too. It's worth seeing. I'd be curious to see what you thought of it. V for Vendetta is another Alan Moore comic.
Damn.
That is another really cool dark comic book movie. With another kind of anti-hero type character. Hugo Weaving playing, what's his face? The Guy Fawkes with the Guy Fawkes mask. Or Guy Fawkes. Is that how you pronounce
V
his
for
name?
Vendetta is a comic book movie?
Yeah. It's another Alan Moore series.
That's another one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Even just in general movies.
Yeah. That is a really cool movie because of all the politics. It's a really interesting take on the future.
It's another thing, just like The Matrix.
Yeah, dystopian.
Yeah.
Very cool setting for a movie. Very cool. I hear Superman's coming back.
Is Superman or Batman? Do you think when we come back, do you think we should do a Marvel? Like, what do you think about Marvel versus DC in like the game?
Yeah. Well, let's do it.
All right, we'll be back here on the Geek Squad. Don't go anywhere.
24.7 24/7 plus stream. 247stream.com.
While vacationing in Mexico, an American tourist runs out of gas. At the same instant, hundreds of miles away, his twin brother experiences gas after eating Mexican food. It's dismissed as coincidence. A man boards a plane at Kennedy Airport in New York. At the same moment in Massachusetts, Senator Ted Kennedy planes aboard in his workshop.
That looks flush now.
It's written off as chance. Lifetime Books presents an incredible new 50-volume set. Totally unrelated events of no consequence. Yes, for just $19.95, we'll send you Volume 1 absolutely free. Inspect it, look it over. You may even want to read it. And if you're not completely satisfied, in 30 days, we'll send you Volume 2. And you'll continue to receive a new volume each month for the rest of your lifetime.
I don't know, man. I think
A man
we'll talk about
cancels
it,
his
but
contract
Marvel's
with
killing it.
Lifetime
Look at
Books,
the list.
and yet
Really?
5 years
I mean,
later,
they're just-
he's
they have
still
so
receiving
many
volumes from the
movies.
Civil War series.
coming out. It's nuts.
Just a coincidence? You be the judge.
Lifetime Books.
They kind of
First
dominate
class
every
books
line
at
of
First
it.
class.
You
We
ever played-
guarantee
you ever played
we
the game?
won't play any other show until the previous one ends.
Marvel vs. DC, the game. Yeah.
24/7 plus stream. Naperville. 247stream.com.
Y'all be going on vacation? See, the thing is, if you about to be up out this biatch, check it. Peep Delta. We be flying all over this bitch. Let me ask you something. You fin to raise up and get your travel on? From the interior to the exterior. You got to get your posterior in one of these big-ass planes. Dog, you lay in the cut straight sitting on your ass and getting your drink on and your snack
love
on
putting these in
while
here.
we
Actually,
floss
these
and
are
fly
actually
this
kinda
mofo
cool.
all over this
'Cause, like, you
bitch.
can listen
East
through it,
Coast,
it's not just a
West
song.
Coast. It
People
don't
are like,
matter.
"Oh, what the hell
Here,
is
we'll
that?"
get you to your hoe and back
Right.
to
What is
lick
this
at these
ad?
flicks.
What is this?
No
Kind of funny.
Then you be back
Makes
at your
Geek
crib
Squad
chilling with
kinda
a
cool.
flat
Yeah, it
split,
does.
thinking we was some crazy-ass angel. Hell, these fat, round, thick-ass vessels run up in the sky so deep, it be crying. Yeah, you thought it was rain. So bring a towel, because at Delta, it's laid out like that. Call one of these fly-ass Delta coochies, and make all them punk-ass co-workers of yours catch the vapors as you be off and up out. You going? We fly you there. You been? We done already flew up in there. We got you covered like a Jimmy hat. At Delta, we loves us some flying, and it be shown like a
Howdy! Hi, I'm Spike, and you know, when I'm driving down Route 9W on a hot summer day, me and the missus always stop at Dickens Fruit Stand. They've got everything from fruit to vegetables, homemade pies, but there is nothing like their cider. Ain't that right, honey? Uh-huh. Dickens cider. Yes, sirree. Why, even though we were late for church last Sunday, she had to have a little Dickens cider. Uh-huh. She says there ain't nothing like it. Even my minister says his wife enjoys a little Dickens cider now and then. Hey, why don't you bring some home in our protective plastic rib bottle? That way it'll stay fresh. Or you can let it sit a while and have some hard Dickens cider. It's good at lunch, good at dinner, and there's nothing like waking up with a Dickens cider. Dickens Fruit Stand, just off Route 9W and Country Road 69. Open 24 hours, because after a chilly summer night, I like to snuggle up in bed with a hot Dickens cider.
Messages off. Programming on. You're listening to WHVR DB Naperville.
We're back here with the Geek Squad, and we're discussing comic books, Marvel, DC, the pros, the cons, the awesomeness of comic book movies. Thanks for joining us back here on the Geek Squad. Where we leave off? We left off on.
Marvel vs. DC.
Have you ever played the game?
You know, I'm looking it up, and I'm not sure if I have. You know, I played. Are Are you talking about the arcade game? Because
No, I'm talking about like the PS like 3 version of the game.
yeah, I
was
saw
like
that.
a-
I don't think I've ever played that.
Or like a Mortal Kombat versus like Marvel versus DC.
Because there was an arcade game that was Marvel versus DC versus Capcom, and I played that.
Versus Capcom.
Street Fighter 2.
Oh, those.
Yeah.
That would be awesome.
It's pretty awesome. I recommend that game. It's another PS3 game. Really cool. I've always been a bigger Marvel fan than DC. It goes way back. You know, Batman will always be one of my favorite characters, but if as a whole, the Marvel universe is, I just prefer it.
Do you see that there's that one dark like fighter game? It's called Injustice.
Yeah, I've played that.
Gods Among Us.
Yeah, that's a cool one. That makes me like DC more because you can play as the villains.
Yeah.
Which are great. You can play as the Joker, which is awesome.
Who do you think is the overall best comic book character in? Okay, we'll say in DC.
In DC, Batman, no question. I mean, I used to read Batman, and some of the comics are totally awesome. Great stories, great villains, great character.
Do you think that after they finish off DC in like years from now, they'll actually come out with a Marvel versus DC?
Oh,
I think that would just be the best for Marvel versus DC. That's all it should be.
oh man, that would be so intense. I mean, I never even thought they could pull the Avengers off, and sure enough, they got two movies.
And they're coming out with a third.
Yep.
And they're great.
They're coming out with 3 and 4 already planned.
There's a 4?
Yeah.
Wow.
In Avengers Infinity War Part 1 and Part 2.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So Marvel has big plans. And, DC does too. I mean, there's the Justice League, which we briefly mentioned. I mean, that's a big deal. That's a big deal.
Superman.
Yeah.
I mean, Superman is one of the best characters. And he's not even Marvel. He's DC.
Yeah.
Batman.
Yeah. Batman. Batman and Superman together. It should be interesting.
I feel that DC was the ones that first went on to the into the movies.
Yeah, well,
and then
absolutely.
Marvel kind of is. This is the bring up of Marvel.
Absolutely, because of Superman.
Mm-hmm.
The original classic character
and the original classic Batman.
Yep. DC goes way back, and what's interesting about Marvel is that it's kind of Stan Lee. It is just Stan Lee. I mean, he created all of those characters, which is nuts. I love Stan Lee, big fan. DC doesn't really have somebody like that.
What do you think your favorite X-Men is?
Movie-wise?
Character-wise.
Character-wise. Gambit's always been one of my favorites, and they're actually coming out with the Gambit movie.
Gambit?
Yeah. And then, Wolverine, classic.
I like Nightcrawler.
Yeah, it's funny you brought that up because my favorite scene, at very least, I'm not sure if it's my favorite movie of the X-Men series, but my favorite scene of the X-Men series is in the second one when Nightcrawler fucks shit up in the White House, and it is so awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd have to say great choice on Nightcrawler.
If I was Nightcrawler, I'd do the same thing.
Right? Yeah, just to show that you can do it, because that's all he does in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
He basically shows the president that he could kill him if he wants to, but he doesn't. He wants to leave a note.
Wasn't he like an agent for Magneto, or was Magneto trying to get at him?
Yeah, I think he was, and then he turns to Professor X, which is really cool.
And Senator, like the Beast mode, is like a senator.
Yeah.
Was it just Beast? That's the guy's name, Beast.
Beast, yeah, just Beast, I think. Yeah, Nightcrawler, great choice. Wolverine. I used to read Wolverine a lot, you know, and he had some really cool comics that were, you know, not your typical, you know, bookstore comics. They were they were dark, and you know, the illustrations were really, you know, abstract looking and kind of like.
Who's the new villain in this new X-Men?
The new X-Men?
X-Men Apocalypse.
Yeah,
Who's this
it's
villain.
Apocalypse.
That's Apocalypse?
Yeah. It's called X-Men Apocalypse, and the villain is Apocalypse. Really cool character. Really cool. They better do the movie justice, or the character justice, because
he's Apocalypse.
Yeah.
What do you think about the Silver Surfer?
Great comic book character. The movie with Fantastic Four and the Silver Surfer is garbage.
The Silver Surfer could have been doing some better cool stuff. Who's coming? Doom, right? What do you got? Doom. Dr. Doom.
Dr. Doom. Another cool character that hasn't really, you know, they haven't done him justice. You know, he's very powerful villain. You know, if you think about it, he faces four people, and he can handle them.
Yeah.
You know, what a powerful character. Victor Von Doom.
Dr. Doom.
Yeah. One of the cooler villains in comic book history. So powerful.
Mm-hmm.
Powerful like Magneto.
There should be an ultimate villain face-off.
Oh man,
movie.
That would be really cool.
Who do you think would win? Tying last week with Star Wars and this with comic book characters. Who do you think would overall win in a fight? Jedi or the comic book characters?
Ooh.
Like Jedi and Sith combined. Like Star Wars universe versus Marvel DC universe.
Well, you know, it's crazy because
versus Capcom.
Versus Capcom. You know, the Jedi are really, really powerful because they can use the Force.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, if you think about some of the comic book characters, you know, you could imagine the Force just kicking their ass.
Like picking them up, slamming them.
Yeah, you know,
using the Force to like bend them and crush them, throw stuff.
Could the Force stop Superman? And if so,
ooh,
wow, you know, wow.
Can Superman even be stopped? Can he be stopped by the Force?
Yeah, I mean that's a really great question that we'll never really know the answer to. It brings up an interesting topic though, because you know you have the Force, and then you have, you know, characters like the Green Lantern, for example, who can, you know, his ring is so powerful that he can basically create whatever he wants with it. You know, but can the Force stop that ring? You know?
Yeah. I mean, the Jedi can also manipulate the midi-chlorians. or the Sith can.
Yeah.
So there you go, Star Wars.
Yeah. There's our Star Wars reference for the day. You know, we it's going to come back over and over.
Referencing everything back to Star Wars.
Oh yeah, I mean,
you know how I saw
not?
that? I'm scrolling down a bunch of like pictures of Dr. Doom,
mm-hmm.
and I saw Death Battle, Darth Vader versus Dr. Doom.
Oh wow, cool. I would
like to see that.
Yeah, I would like to see that. That would be really awesome. You know, Dr. Doom is. I believe he actually has the same, you know, he can use lightning, which is kind of like a Sith power.
Yeah.
So that's kind of cool, you know what I mean? And, you know, the Force blasts that Dr. Doom has, and he kind of has some similar skills to the Sith. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah, true. And the X-Men are just like, I mean, there's Mr. Fantastic.
Yeah.
And Human Torch, the
Yep.
Thing.
Yeah.
The Thing is one of those comic book characters that is like really like just known for visual. Yeah, you can picture Dr. Doom, whatever he looks like. or even like what Bruce Wayne looks like.
Yeah.
But then there's always like one character that never changes,
Yeah.
and that's just the Thing. You can't draw him any other way. He can't look like anybody because he, like his face wise, any actor can portray him because they got to make him look like the Thing. And the Hulk as well. You can't just like change the Hulk's face like you can change Superman's face with different actors.
You know, you brought up the Fantastic Four. You know, I hate to get political with a Geek Squad, but you know, picking an African American guy to play the Human Torch is like, really? You know,
Yeah.
I'm all for, you know, having black characters be the superhero. You know, Spawn, arguably my favorite comic, black guy, Al Simmons. You know, I think that they should make that movie again. You know, so it's not a racist comment. I'm just, you know, I want to see what, you know, the character the way he's supposed to be.
Sure, that's
And
the way he's originally portrayed.
He's not black. Can we get a white guy? I mean, is it racist to have a white guy play the Human Torch because he's white?
Isn't the same thing with Green Lantern in the comic, in like the original cartoon, Justice League?
Yeah.
Green Lantern was black.
Yeah. I don't know why they started doing that. They made what's his name from S.H.I.E.L.D., Nick Fury, Sam Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, Marvel had a plan for that for a while. They actually turned him black before they made him black in the movies. So that's probably a better example of a race change I don't mind as much. But, you know, this new Fantastic Four, it's like, oh, we don't have a black guy, so let's make the Human Torch black. Wait, what?
Yeah.
I'm not down with that. I'm sorry.
I saw the same thing with Star Wars.
Yeah.
And like randomly.
Yeah, it's like
just like
they're
one
trying to
black guy
fill a
left.
quota. You know what I mean?
That's affirmative action for you.
I don't like that. You know, and then, you know, did you watch the Oscars?
No, I didn't, but I heard some of the stuff that was said.
Yeah,
from Chris Rock.
yeah, Chris Rock went off on the fact that there's like no black nominations, and you know that's just ridiculous because I believe last year 12 Years a Slave won Best Picture.
Yeah.
And you know, I it's not like there are any movies that, you know, really stood out to me, black movies that stood out to me that you know, deserved a nomination.
But like, it's not, honestly, it's up to whoever these nominating committees are.
Yeah, it really
like,
is.
What are you blaming everybody for like that?
Yeah.
Oh, there's no that, so there's just racism. Like, no, why don't you go talk to the nominating committee and then that's affirmative action.
Yeah. But, you know, I'm all for black superheroes. I mean, Blade, Spawn.
Yeah, Blade was black.
Yeah.
And that was like one of the better ones.
Yeah, it really is.
Doesn't matter.
It really, you know, that's fine. Just don't change the race of the characters.
Even with the Oscars, like, I'm glad if Leo won that Oscar.
Yeah. I mean, you know what? I haven't seen The Revenant. I'm sure it's great. I think Leo at this point deserves to have an Oscar because, you know, he's been nominated like, what, 7 times? I mean, really? And he still hasn't won. Well, until now, but he still hadn't won until now.
Like, it was a joke. People, that was like a thing.
Yeah, it was a joke.
Thing. Yeah.
A running joke that he hadn't, you know, got an award yet. You know, I'm happy that he got it. He probably deserves it. You know, I'm not.
Do you think Leo would play a good comic book character?
You know, it's funny you said that because I was just thinking about that. And you know what? I would have to say absolutely, but he's starting to get too old. Which is, you know, you really don't think of Leo that way, but you know, I always prefer, you know, young blood when it comes to movies like these. You know, I don't want to see somebody, you know, but then you have like the X-Men, which is, you know, they pull off, you know, because they have.
They have to be like older because they are like in the X-Men.
They have to be older, but you know, when they did it right by getting, you know, Patrick Stewart who's awesome.
Yeah, in just everything.
Ian McKellen, awesome in everything.
Deadpool.
And
there's like a huge craze over this whole Deadpool right now.
It's huge.
Like it just blew up. And how many people even knew who Deadpool was up until this movie?
Oh,
honestly, how many other people? None, right? Not that many.
Not that many. They would have to have seen that Wolverine flop movie to know about Deadpool. Because I bet 99% of the people don't read the comic. It seems like I'm really surprised they actually got it made into a movie, but cheers to them for making Deadpool.
Do you know who I'd like to see Leo play in like a movie?
Yeah, who?
Just looking at this quick picture kind of made me laugh. I'd like to have him play Lennon in like a Lennon movie.
Oh, really? Yeah, that would be interesting.
I'd like to see a Lennon movie with Leo in it. Not because I'm a Lennon fan at all, but just the concept of seeing a Lennon movie.
Yeah, because he would do it justice.
Yeah, I'm not a Lennon fan.
No. Well, neither am I. But, it could make a good movie. It would have been cool to see, imagine Leonardo DiCaprio if he had done the Star Wars movies.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or something like that.
Like Leo's the original, like Luke's, he's Mark Hamill.
Yeah. Or he's Anakin.
Yeah.
That would be really cool. It's kind of interesting. He's never been in a comic book movie. Probably out of choice.
Mm-hmm. It doesn't really fit his role.
No, it doesn't.
I don't see Leonardo DiCaprio as a comic book character.
No.
Or villain.
No. It's funny to think about it.
Like a Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah.
That's like all you can play. It's like immature male roles.
Right. It's kind of hard to imagine Leonardo DiCaprio in a comic book movie. And there's some other comic book movies we haven't mentioned.
There's so many. I think they're both huge, and people don't even know some of them.
Yeah, no. Like 300, for example. That's another comic book movie that I really liked.
300?
Yeah, 300 is a comic book by Frank Miller.
Like the Spartans?
Yeah. Comic book movie. And there was a sequel as well. Pretty decent, actually. I was kind of surprised.
Didn't 300 really happen, though?
Yeah. Well, the movie is based on the comic, which is a little bit
tweaked on how it was really gone.
Yeah.
Of course.
Of course. And
because none of us were really there for the battle, so who really knows?
Yeah, who really knows? The movie has a look that's trying to portray the way the graphic novel looks. It has kind of a sheen to it.
Mm-hmm.
Like a ton of filters.
Everybody's
basically.
just like jacked.
Yeah.
And like cut.
Yeah.
And like punching like bears and stuff or whatever. They're bringing down like elephants.
Yeah. No, I 300 is cool. The comic is amazing. It's a great story. Battle of Thermopylae. I've done, history was my major, and that was one of my all-time favorite historical stories. And like if they had done an accurate portrayal, the Spartans would be naked, which you can't really do that.
Exactly.
And they're not naked in the comic book.
They're wearing giant like robes.
Yeah.
Like perfectly shiny brass helmets.
Yeah.
Giant shields that they can easily wield.
Yeah.
They could.
No, but that's a great comic. It's got really interesting illustrations. I really like the portrayal they did in the movie. I think they did a good job. Yeah. What else? What are some other movies we can talk about?
Toy Story.
Is that a comic book movie?
No. I'm actually scrolling through here, and I saw a Toy Story, and it kind of was like, oh, they should do a Toy Story comic, but it's already a movie.
Well, you know,
think about Toy Story 4. Is that a reality?
You would imagine so, because the previous ones have been so successful. You know, I was a big fan the Alien series, which was never based in a comic, and they actually turned it into a comic. And they did with Predator as well. The Alien versus Predator movie is really bad. A lot of the people didn't like the sequel. I thought it was a little bit better. You know, those are two interesting. I don't want to call the aliens characters because there's so many of them, but you know, Predator, for example, you know, they started making the comic after the movie, like Star Wars too. Mm-hmm. You know, and they make some really good comics from those characters.
You know, it's another comic that I just found out. Kick-Ass.
Really?
Yeah. Typed in comic book movies and Kick-Ass.
Kick-Ass, huh?
Yeah. That like movie where they're kind of like dressed up.
Yeah.
Like the Power Rangers.
Yeah, I see that on here too. That's really interesting. I had no idea. I'm also seeing that Men in Black comic book movie.
Really?
What?
I think so. Isn't there like the show back in the day?
Yeah.
Of X-Men, the animated like kid series?
Yeah, definitely. That's crazy. You know, I would never have thought of that. Yeah, and 30 Days of Night. I didn't know that was a comic book movie either. I thought that was great.
That's crazy.
Have you seen that? 30 Days of Night?
No.
It's a really awesome vampire movie. Very dark. Very
Really?
dark. Yeah. It's very R-rated.
Oh, wow.
And then, yeah, I mean, there's all kinds of characters we didn't talk. You know, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Mm-hmm. You know, that was a comic before it was a series and a movie. Some of my classic favorite characters. Do you have a favorite Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle?
Ooh, you know what? I was never really into them.
Okay.
So, but overall, I would say Michelangelo.
Okay. You know, he used to be my favorite. Now, once I got older and a little bit smarter, I like Donatello more because he's the most intelligent.
True. All right, we are done here on the Geek Squad. It has been an awesome time talking about comic book movies. This Superman theme is probably one of my favorite themes of all time. Really emphasizes almost all comic books, right?
So classic.
Hey, join us next week here on the Geek Squad. We're going to break down another geeky topic for you. See you next Monday.
See you, Monday.